All right, jumping over and looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Los Angeles Chargers. Somewhat of an interesting game this week. I know that these are two teams that aren't necessarily in the running in terms of actual NFL production, but from a fantasy angle, lots of good players to talk about here. Exciting storylines between Justin Herbert looking amazing as a rookie and Gardner Minshew effectively trying to prove to the Jaguars that he can be their quarterback of the future and that they don't need to draft someone in the first round next year. We'll see. At this point, it's been a little bit of a mixed review for Gardner. That a couple of good performances, couple of not so good ones. So we'll see what this week ends up being. Whereas, again, we mentioned Justin Herbert has looked great, but they've yet to actually put together a win with him as the starter. So hopefully this can be the first one for them. Coming in here, we have a 49-point over-under. Vegas is very in favor of the Chargers winning this one at home, 7.5-point favorites. The Jaguars are not good on defense. Like, gone are the days of the stout, dominant Jaguars defense. They've lost effectively every main staple of that team, and now they're giving up the 5th most points to running backs, the 8th most points to tight ends, above average in terms of points allowed for quarterbacks and wide receivers. So this is an exploitable defense. We saw DeAndre Swift go off against them last week, so this is a really good spot for guys like Justin Jackson, assuming he plays. Last we saw he was a limited practice participant. I think he'll be active, whereas the Chargers have actually been giving up a lot of points to opposing quarterbacks. So number 3 in the league right now against quarterbacks and 13th against receivers. They've suffered an immense amount of injuries on their defense. So I do expect this to be a higher scoring game. Both of these teams have some pretty massive holes on defense, and I think this should be a pretty fun one to watch from fantasy purposes and in real life. So on the Jaguars side, we're starting James Robinson every week until he proves to us otherwise that we shouldn't. He's involved enough in the passing game that even when he has a poor game on the ground, as he did last week, still pulls through a good fantasy day, and especially in PPR. DJ Chark, I think DJ Chark could absolutely go off this week. We've seen him, have one nuclear game up to this point. This could definitely be another one. The Chargers allowing way more points to receivers than we ever expected them to, considering their strength in the secondary to start the season. That strength is all but gone at this point due to a couple of key injuries there. So DJ Chark is a strong start in this one. Laviska Shenault, not as strong of a start, but someone I'll still recommend. He did have a poor showing last week, but what we've seen at this point, when Chark is limited, it does seem to limit the rest of the team. I think Chark will be healthier this week, and I think Shenault should get a good showing in here. Now, Keelan Cole, a guy that obviously came through for you last week, he's been very up and down, and that's pretty much been his entire career. He'll have one really good showing and then 3 weeks in a row where you barely even notice that he's on the field. So I'm not trusting last week's box score for Keelan Cole. Try to bench him if you can. Gardner Minshew is definitely a fine streamer. I don't see him as a top 10 or top 12 option this week, which is why he's in my second guest column, but that doesn't mean that you can't start him. As I mentioned before, the Chargers are giving up the 3rd most points to opposing fantasy quarterbacks, and Gardner Minshew could definitely have a good game considering that. Tyler Eifert shouldn't be someone that you need to rely on at this point. I hope that is not the case. Now, on the Chargers side, very excited about this team. Now, again, monitor Justin Jackson's injury report, but as we saw 2 weeks ago when they played the Saints, he was clearly running ahead of Joshua Kelley, involved more in the passing game, and just looked more explosive all around. If Justin Jackson is limited for the remainder of the week and it's looking like he's a game-time decision or anything like that, that would give me a little bit more excitement in starting Kelley. But as it stands right now, I'm going to try to bench Kelley and keep Justin Jackson on our starting lineups. Justin Herbert has been absolutely amazing from a rookie standpoint. I do think there will be a point pretty soon where teams figure him out. We kind of see that historically with rookie quarterbacks. They have a really nice 3, 4, 5 game stretch where they're playing really well, and then typically that's about how long it takes for opposing defenses to kind of figure them out, slow them down a little bit. So I think that that curve is coming for Justin Herbert at some point, but he's balling out right now. So as long as that continues, we're not going to try to anticipate when defenses will figure him out and start slowing him down. At this point, we're starting everyone on this offense that we can. Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen looks like he's going to be back and playing at least close to 100%. Mike Williams is healthy. Hunter Henry playing against one of the worst defenses against tight ends in the league. And I think you can start the Chargers defense in this one. Gardner Minshew is prone to make a few mistakes. Definitely taking a lot of sacks at this point. I think the Chargers defense at home here should be a pretty good one to start. And that's pretty much it. I have the Chargers winning this one a little bit closer than Vegas is anticipating. I got them winning 28-24.